right, now welcome back today. Where we promised you just now we have music, even though we didn't have our DJ here. And there it is. We have it. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about something. We're going to have a special dialogue today. It's about
human harvest.
Human harvest, that's right. Now, Falun Gong or Falun Dafa is a spiritual discipline from China, founded in 1992. However, the Chinese government ruled them unlawful and started arresting followers of the belief.
Amidst reports of their persecution and torture, there were also rumors that Falun Gong prisoners are made victims of organ harvesting for sale at high prices. And Canadian filmmaker Leon Lee is here with us today to talk about his movie, Human Harvest, that addresses that issue. Good morning, Leon.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So this is your first visit in Indonesia, or?
Yes.
All right, and he's been here from Monday.
Yeah, so enjoying all the food here as well.
The food, but later we talk about it. But what's the purpose of the visit anyway? Are you promoting this movie, or?
Yes, I'm coming here to meet the local chapter of an organization called Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting. They have contacted us and they want to host screenings of the film Human Harvest in Indonesia.
Okay, Human Harvest.
Human Harvest.
Now I've seen, I've seen the trailer and also read the synopsis of it, and it's very, it has a very strong message towards the China. I mean, how did you start with this issue, basically?
I first learned about forced organ harvesting in China back in 2006, and my immediate reaction was complete disbelief.
Okay.
Disbelief. Okay.
But then I thought, what if it's true? And I teamed up with two Canadian researchers, David Matus and David Kilgore. When we looked into the evidence of the allegation, I was convinced that this is happening. Then I thought there must be many people who had the same reaction as I did, and it would be a fantastic way to raise awareness by making a film. And 8 years later, we had Human Harvest.
So it took you 8 years, including research and the making of the documentary as well, or was it just the research itself?
It was from the idea of making this film until we have the film completed. And it took so long because it was so challenging to find witnesses who were willing to speak in front of the camera, in particular patients who had been to China for organ transplants.
So you actually went to China to interview those victims?
No.
Or witnesses? Or?
No, because most of the patients are transplant tourists.
All right,
who came
tourists.
from outside of China to go to China for transplant surgery. So we initially tried to find people from North America. We got a few people, but by the time we set up lighting and finally ready to roll, they said, no, I don't want to do this anymore. So in the end, we found 3 cases in Taiwan, 2 patients and a patient's relative who were courageous enough to talk about their experience in China.
So there were so many patients or witnesses who were reluctant to share it with you on, on TV, basically on camera. But like 8 years, it's very long. So how hard was it for you to get all the, the informations and research
data,
enough
for your film? How hard was it?
It was very difficult, mostly because of the reluctance of all the participants. It was difficult to find doctors who would openly admit that they actually committed mass murder. But in the film, we were able to get eyewitness accounts from a police officer who was in the operation theater when this whole thing happened. We were able to get testimonies from a nurse in hospital. In addition, we got testimony from potential victims, from patients, and also experts. Fortunately, we had David Matus, David Kilgore, Ethan Gutman, who are the pioneers in the research. So they contributed significantly to the completion of the film.
Was it hard to approach these people, though? I mean, to tell them what your idea was and what you wanted to find out, and especially the victims. You mentioned that you did manage to get testimonies from potential victims, right? Was it hard for you to actually approach them?
It's I understand their reluctance to talk about it for many of them. For patients, for example, some had no idea this was taking place. Some didn't want to know. But once they knew, I can see their guilt. I can see that participating in the film actually helped them to find closure. For potential victims, of course, it's difficult to relive the nightmare they had back in Chinese labor camps or detention centers. But we were glad to have a few potential victims who were almost subject to organ harvesting. Most likely, when they had medical tests, they weren't eligible to be a donor.
Not healthy enough, we would
Yes,
say.
so
Right.
that's why they survived.
So based on your findings, in terms of number, how bad was it? Like how many cases
How many
that
people
actually
have
happened
fallen
between
victims,
2000
yeah.
and until 2005, for example? Because I heard there's a lot of like a very huge number in terms of transplantation operation, basically.
Yes, in the film, we concluded there were more than 60,000 to 80,000 victims of forced organ harvesting in China. But there was updated report issued last year by the three gentlemen I mentioned just now. And their estimate put the number of victims in the range of hundreds of thousands. And I think whatever we know now is truly the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
I think the real number of victims could be far higher.
Now, of course, this issue sends a strong message to people,
Yeah.
right? And was it? Were you faced with a lot of challenges when you came up with this? Decided to try and find research and make data and make this film.
There was certainly a lot of interference
Okay.
in the process of making the film. But even after the film was made, when we were looking for distribution, attending film festivals, it's very common to have people telling us, we don't want to do this because we fear it'll have repercussion on our business ties with China. Or a film festival director told me stories of officials from the Chinese consulate visiting them, pressuring them not to show the film in the festivals. But anything we can face as filmmakers really is nothing compared to what the victims face in China.
But were you experiencing such,
Threats.
pressure
Yeah.
from the Chinese,
Especially the government
or the
itself.
officials?
Yeah.
No, not really.
Okay.
I think they recognized that any pressure they may put onto me personally would only help to promote the film further.
All right.
So there were interference in terms of try to stop the film from distribution, but personally, I haven't received anything from China in regards to this film.
So you're not worried for now, though. I mean, is there like, do you feel worried, or because this is?
Or were you
obviously-
maybe?
Yeah, were
in the
you
beginning?
worried in the beginning?
In the beginning,
Considering that this is something to do with a government of a country, right?
it would be lying to say I had no concern for my safety whatsoever. But there are so many people working on this issue, and their courage inspires me. The potential victims, in particular Falun Gong practitioners, they've been persecuted for 18 years now, and they kept going on. So for me, this is the least I can do.
All right, Leon, we have to
Go
cut
for a
for
short
break,
break.
but
Yes.
when we come back, we discuss more about Human
Harvest.
Harvest, the movie created by Leon Lee. So we'll be right back. Welcome back, still with Leon Lee here.
Yes.
So I've seen this, you received like awards for making this movie, like Peabody Award for Documentary, AIB Awards, and then Michael Sullivan Frontline Award as well. And how can you explain more about the reaction after you launched this movie?
After Human Harvest was released, we received overwhelming positive feedback. The film now has been broadcast in more than 25 countries, seen by millions of viewers, and it's also screened in parliaments worldwide. I was also very glad to know that it's one of the most highly pirated films in China now.
Highly pirated
films in China. I actually
Okay.
meant to ask though, what is the response? Have you ever heard of any response from the people in China itself?
Oh yes, we received emails, or when we actually met Chinese people who recently came out of China, they would share stories of how shocked they were after watching the film.
And
Because
they themselves did not know that it was happening in their country.
No, because every
Right.
single media outlet in China is controlled by the Chinese regime, and of course they wouldn't be publicizing anything in this regard. So one of the goals we were making the film was to take the viewer onto this journey so they become an investigator themselves by examining different evidence and reach their own conclusion. And that's why I think for people in China, they were so shocked to see the film, and because it's so compelling. Nobody's telling them what to think. They drew their own conclusion.
Okay, that's from China. How about the international reaction towards this movie? Is there any action made by like governments in outside
outside of
China,
China.
basically reacting on this movie?
Fortunately, we were not the only person working on this issue.
Okay.
There are various organizations and individuals, and the combined effort has been very positive. We've seen countries passing legislations banning their own citizens to go to China for organ transplant. We've seen U.S. House Resolution 343 unanimously condemning China on forced organ harvesting. European Parliament, the UK is introducing early demotion on the same topic. I think more and more countries and governments will recognize the importance of this issue and hopefully take some positive action.
So mainly the impact that you wish to have from the viewers itself is so that they do something about it and take action.
Exactly.
Anything else though? Like you really wish that this movie could send a message outside and for them to do something else apart from just take action.
Or probably affecting governments or Chinese government to
Regime,
change their
yeah.
ways,
Yeah.
basically.
Right, whether it's on the grassroots level where people can tell their friends and families about this issue, or on the government level, who can then apply pressure to China to stop this crime. Awareness is the key. If more people know about this crime, whether they're inside China or outside of China, the more people learn about the issue, the earlier we can end the crime.
And there's a story as well when there's someone from outside China who actually, been an actress or actor who actually explained whatever happened in China, and she or he got banned for visiting the country.
The country.
Are you having that kind of experience as well after you made this movie?
I never tried. I suspect I might be able to get back to China, but whether I can leave again or not is a different question. But Anastasia Lin, who worked with me on our feature film, The Bleeding Edge, on the same subject matter, was banned from entering China to participate in the last year's Miss World final,
Yes.
which made international headlines. We also know other cases of people banned from entering China.
And are you doing anything right now ever since the documentary is out? You still continue to fight, to keep on researching and
Or maybe
finding
you're
out?
making another
another,
follow-ups.
yeah.
Yes, The Bleeding Edge is a narrative thriller on the same subject matter. It was premiered in the UK Parliament, recognized by some awards as well.
Bleeding Age.
The Bleeding
Bleeding
Edge,
Edge.
yes, starring Anastasia Lin. And we had also other documentaries and narrative films in the work, mostly focusing on China issues, which is now my niche.
Okay. So, what actually after making this movie, you've been like doing this road trip to several countries. Is there any Asian countries who reacted the same towards your movie?
Asian countries, we had a wide distribution in Taiwan. We had great distribution in Korea. As a matter of fact, last year we also had a screening and a premiere in Japan at the Japanese National Diet. And I think we have MPs from 2 or 3 parties participating, and they are also considering introducing a bill in the Japanese Congress to ban Japanese citizens from going to China for transplant. So I guess that's the most encouraging thing, is everywhere we go, people, after watching the film,
Are aware.
really understand the issue and wanted to do something to help.
Okay, and you mentioned about the high number of cases that you found after making this movie, but do you know like how much in terms of value that this kind of business being made in China, basically? Did you find out like how?
David made an estimate, it's a $1 billion a year industry.
1 billion.
But that was made prior to the updated report last year. So now I think it's maybe even more.
Wow. And those are the organs of human organs, yeah, basically. But what's the number one human organ that they normally sell the most? Do you know? Do you do such research?
We don't have stats to give an accurate estimate, but I'd say kidney and liver are probably among the top.
Okay, and in this movie, is there any reenactment, or is this just full interview with some of inserted footage, or how do you make this document?
We have interviews with experts, witness patients who would recount their experiences. We have archival footage of hearings in U.S. Congress, in the Scottish Parliament, in other places. We also have some reenactment, but they were done in a stylish way, so people know this is reenactment. We're not trying to use this as archival footage.
Okay, so since you're a filmmaker now, are you interested in making, I know you mentioned about bleeding edge, right?
Bleeding
but
edge.
in the future, are you interested to make like
Another topic, maybe,
documentary, or probably
another
just,
country?
probably just film,
Yeah.
like basically normal films?
Right. Now I'm really focusing on topics that relates to China, because in the process of making Human Harvest, I was privileged to meet so many incredible Chinese people with amazing stories that are untold. And I think history needs to remember their courage, and it seems very few other people are doing it. So for the time being, I think I'll be focusing on making films that tell their stories. That's why we made a new documentary, Avenues of Escape,
Avenue to Escape.
about 3 Chinese women after being sentenced to more than 10 years in prison, how they managed to escape prison and escape China, went to Thailand, became a UN refugee, and now resettled in the US and Canada.
And now you've been here for a couple of days, like 5 to 6 days. How is it? I mean, how is the reaction from Indonesian people here?
Great. I saw this beautiful brochure in Indonesian. I haven't seen it before.
In Bahasa,
And
yes.
In Bahasa
It's
Indonesia.
amazing. I was told the local organizers, the Doctors Against Forced Organ Harvesting, people here are doing an incredible job in organizing screenings and raising awareness. And I also like Jakarta a lot. It's a modern city, it's big, and the fruits are wonderful.
Ah,
All right. We love the fruits and food as well here. But the traffic, oh my God.
yeah, the traffic. I hope you have not experienced that, or you did not probably experience that a lot here in Jakarta.
Well, this morning we left our hotel at 6 o'clock,
Oh, wow.
Okay.
but there was no traffic jam. I was disappointed.
You were looking
You will find it after you get
yeah, after you leave this building. Thank you so much, Leonie. Thank you, and good luck with more documentaries to come, right?
And keeping your dynamic gesture toward this and
Yeah.
share your awareness to us as well, which is great, basically.